listening to Second Chance Ministry Radio. To follow is today's message by Pastor Randy Snyder. Enjoy and have a glorious day.
Now with today's uplifting message, here's Randy.
This is a famous story that's recounted in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Mark identifies the man by name and says his name is Bartimaeus. He's healed by Jesus of his blindness. It's a powerful miracle. Anytime someone who is blind is given sight, it's considered a miracle today. You may remember the story I told you about a woman from New Zealand who was blind for 25 or 30 years, fell in her apartment, obviously, because she said when you're blind, you fall all the time. And you may remember this story. She hit her head on a coffee table. The next morning woke up and she could see for the first time in 30 to 35 years, and she called it a miracle. She's absolutely right. To be blind or sightless for 30 years and then being able to see, it was a tremendous miracle that she says, she claims, is a miracle of God, not just a miracle of the coffee table hitting her head. And I can understand why she would say that. To be blind and then able to be see is a tremendous thing. I want you to notice that this man is blind. I want to talk about blindness here first. In fact, let's bring up that first verse, verse 35. As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside begging. Blindness was not considered a handicap in this day and age. Listen carefully. Blindness was considered a curse. Did you know that? They didn't look at people who were blind and say, well, he's handicapped. They said he has a curse on his life. You say, how do you know that? You remember the story in John 9 where there's a blind man that's approaching Jesus and it says he was blind from birth. And get this, the disciples asked Jesus, is this man blind because of sin in his life? Or did his parents sin? Now, isn't that intriguing? People thought of blindness as a curse that was the result of sin, even in the life of the blind person. And here he's blind from birth, which, do you know what that implies? They actually believed that it was possible for a baby to sin in the womb of his or her mother. That's the thinking of the day, and the disciples want to know, did he commit some sin in utero, in the womb of his mother, or did his parents sin? And I've told you this before, this is a word for somebody today. In John 9, Jesus said, neither. This man is not blind because he sinned. He's not blind because his parents sinned. Jesus shocked his audience by saying, he's blind so that the work of God might be demonstrated in his life. Isn't that amazing? Which may give some meaning to something going on in your life, what you call a handicap or a curse. God says, let me use it to demonstrate or manifest my strength. Our men are watching a video series by Neil Jeffrey, who was a quarterback for Baylor University and the San Diego Chargers. What's intriguing about him as a public speaker is that he stutters. And I mean he stutters, and he totally locks up. And as we're getting deeper into the series, and I'm watching ahead of the men, he has some pretty dramatic lockups, as I would call it, where he just stops. He cannot move on for several seconds, or many seconds in one case, where he just cannot come up with the next phrase. And you say, what a handicap. What a curse. May I tell you what it is? God manifests his strength through Neil's weakness. And God uses his stuttering. It's as if God says, Neil, let me use your stuttering, and I'll magnify it in such a way that it'll actually be a strength in your ministry. And I believe that's an example. This happened that God's work might be manifested in his life. What's going on in your life right now that may be an opportunity for God to manifest his blessing and power in your life?
Thank you for listening on Second Chance Ministry.